kaip tu iš tikrųjų ties, bet čia absurdiško lygio atvirumo reikia su savimi ir su kitais. Jesus, o žmonės sako, kad aš prie žodžių kabinėsiu. Damn. Čia iš tikrųjų žiauriai deep mintis.
Test. No, you're wrong. No, you're wrong. No, Shaylin, you're wrong. Test. The guy I interviewed said that he thinks that by refusing to call you Shay, refusing to call you my partner instead of my girlfriend, insisting that you be Shaylin and that you be my girlfriend, was gaslighting you and abusive because I was questioning your identity or rejecting your identity or telling you what your identity is. Something like that. What do you think of that?
Well, I think at the time I was pretty obviously furious at you for not acknowledging what I was telling you to do, or even just that it was my preference. It didn't seem to matter that it was my preference, which feels pretty bad. Both.
You're not answering the question.
Okay, what? You're just wondering if I agree that it's abusive?
I want to know what you think of the fact that my last interview subject said that I gaslit you and abused you.
That's the exact same thing you just said, and then you rejected my answer.
Yes.
So that's stupid. Try again.
That's what I'm saying to you.
Okay.
Pala, čia jau reikia šifruoti, kas vyksta, blet, 2 minutės, net ne 2 minutės. Okay. Jis yra teisus, kai neatsakė į klausimą. Tai gerai, jis paklausė šitaip. Paskutinį žmogų, kurį jis kalbino, pasakė, kad tas čiuvakas yra Mr. Girl, jo toks nikas. O ta pana yra Shay. Tai Mr. Girl pasakė, kad paskutinį žmogų, kurį kalbino, pasakė, kad faktas, kad jisai savo draugės nevadina girlfriend ar partner, o tiesiog Shay, yra abuse ir gaslightinimas. Ir Mr. Girl paklausė, ką jinai apie tai mano. Jos atsakymas buvo, kad aš buvau furious, man tas, tai, kad manęs taip nevadino, aš tuo metu buvau pikta ir panašiai. Bet klausimas nebuvo, ar tu buvai pikta, kai aš tavęs taip nevadinau. Klausimas buvo, ką manai apie tai, kad tas random kažkoks žmogus pasakė, kad tai yra abuse ir gaslightinimas. Jesus, o žmonės sako, kad aš prie žodžių kabinėjusi ir aš nes aš labai kartais, kai paklausiu klausimą, aš noriu gauti atsakymą į tą klausimą, o ne kažkokį kitą. Ir žmonės dažnai nesupranta, ko aš klausiu. Arba aš prisikabinu prie kažkokio labai specifinio dalyko ir žmonės nesupranta net, ko aš noriu, bet jau next fucking level, gerai.
This is making me angry because I actually forgot that this part happened. So I was not mentally prepared to talk about this part of it. I don't know. I don't know if it's abusive.
Do you think trans people are control freaks like you who need everything to be just perfectly laid out, and if anything unexpected happens, they get really angry or freak out?
Yeah, I think that being trans or asserting your new pronouns is a form of controlling the situation and controlling yourself and controlling the way other people interact with you, and inherently building into every interaction acceptance for yourself that you might not otherwise feel. And I know that for myself, I often didn't feel accepted. And
you still don't.
I still don't, but I don't think I really pushed.
But you're pushing me right now.
About what?
The whole structure of this conversation.
How?
This is what you do. You just subtly, passive-aggressively derail a conversation. Take what I'm trying to do. It's my video.
I don't know what is clear about
It's my video. It's my video. And you take what I'm doing and you run in whatever direction you want. And it feels like a very similar dynamic. where I very maybe
the
you
fuck
appreciate
just
this about me,
happened?
where I'm very often have to be like, hey, you're being controlling. I'm not going to do what you're trying to get me to do.
Right.
You're controlling in very subtle ways. Just as saying to somebody, oh, I don't feel safe in this space unless you use my preferred pronouns, and if you question me about it, it's violence. Come here, buddy.
Random cat.
Daddy would never gaslight you.
Okay. So do you want to try again?
I want you to not fuck this video up like you
I'm
fucked
doing my best.
up. Like you fucked up our last one.
Understandable.
Shaylin, what do you think? This guy said that I abused you and gaslit you. What do you think of that?
I think that you are not gaslighting me. I think that abuse is subjective, so I wouldn't consider it to be abuse. And I don't think that you were trying to tell me that I was wrong about what happened. More just that you weren't going to go along with a narrative that I had created. And I think that that is within your right to do so.
Couldn't you call that gaslighting? I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying I can't go along with the narrative that you've created.
I guess, but I mean, I don't think you have to agree with someone else about what they have self-diagnosed about themselves.
People watching this are going to say it's not a diagnosis, it's your identity. You're choosing your own name. You're saying, my name is Shay, and I'm saying, no, I'm not going to call you by that name. Because I don't like your reason for choosing it. And you're saying that, ow, and you're saying that is me, that's okay because I'm just not going along with your self-diagnosis?
But yeah, I am. I mean, for me, I do think it's okay because
You already said that, but I need you to reconcile. See? I'm asking you to reconcile something. You're being evasive. So people are watching this and they're saying, well, that doesn't make any sense. She's just defending him. Because she's brainwashed or she's gaslit. She's confused. She doesn't even know her own name. You have to address that.
For me, requesting people to do one thing as opposed to the other was an attempt to avoid my mixed feelings or potentially just avoid bad feelings about things that were going on that didn't actually have anything to do with my name.
So you don't think I was actually challenging your identity?
No.
Okay.
You were challenging my power over you, which made me furious.
Okay, so what happened?
Before we met, I had been already thinking and sort of testing the waters a bit on more blatantly coming out as androgynous, gender fluid, and
Jesus
sort of
Christ.
non-binary. I had already come out, if you will, as gender fluid years before that, but hadn't really made it this huge, big deal part of my presentation or identity, and basically came out as pansexual or queer and gender fluid at the same time. So once I moved to LA, and roughly the time that you and I met, I had been meeting people and sort of experimenting with a more masculine presentation of myself, which when we met, I experienced you to be pretty supportive of that. And because you had said that you were attracted to women who were more muscular and to like body hair and stuff, I was like, oh, well, this person seems pretty attracted to that, so I don't see why there would be a problem. And on a day where I had been grappling with this at work, I was on a walk downtown in LA, and I told you that I had been thinking about...
Over text.
I told you that I had been thinking about taking testosterone. There's a particular way that you can take it in lower dosages to look more androgynous. But it's not like the full dose that people who are trying to transition would take. And I told you that I was considering that, and that you were the first person I had told, and I hadn't discussed this really with anybody else.
Nu čia kinda, blet. Okay. Kaip iš tikrųjų, kaip jūs reaguotumėt, kaip bet kas reaguotų, jums pasako. Nu, ble, aišku, jau kai santykius kaip ir žinojai, kad tas žmogus, nu, toks. Bet tada pasako, kad gerai, aš noriu testosterono gerti, kad, nu, kaip jis reiškia atrodyti labiau androžinus, tai reiškia atrodyti biškai labiau, I guess, muscular kaip vyras. Biškai labiau ir tada tas gautus, kai atrodo labiau androžinus. Kaip reaguoti tokį? Na, I guess čia jo, jeigu, kaip jis išsireiškia, jeigu jam patinka panos, kurios labiau muscular yra ir panašiai, tai sure tada, gal be problemos, bet kaip jis reagavo, aš nežinau.
And you reacted terribly to it. I guess looking back, I'm not sure that I would describe it as terrible, but you did not give me the warm welcome to non-binary land that I had expected you to.
What did you think I would say?
Jis nelabai gerai sureagavo,
I expected you to say something to the effect of, you know, that's a big decision, but I support you in becoming more of yourself, or, you know, I support you and I like you for who you are, so whatever you choose is like, whatever, you know, I'm okay with it, or just something to the effect of, you know, you're a person and this is a superficial thing that I don't care about.
It's interesting that you and so many other people think that, like, just because I'm turned on by muscular or hairy or masculine women, that means that I would then be like, well, great, the testosterone is fine then, because it makes me horny.
Right. Well, I think that in the way I was approaching it, there was nothing else to consider aside from the physical attributes. And I think that this is an overall problem that was contributing to me wanting to do it in the first place, was really only taking into consideration for myself the physical effects or the relationship effects based on the physical effects, rather than, you know, the emotional and mental parts of it and how that would be affecting me. So since I was not considering that about myself, I was obviously not considering that you would be considering it about me.
Yeah, the narrative is that, the progressive narrative is that anyone who has an emotional response other than being happy for you is a suppressive person. And that there is no reason to have an emotional response about somebody who you care about taking hormones. Unless you're transphobic.
Right.
Wait, okay.
Okay. Person. Other than being anyone who has an emotional response other than being happy for you is a suppressive person. And that there is no reason to have an emotional response about somebody who you care about taking hormones. Unless you're transphobic.
Right.
Okay, so what did I say?
You were angry at me for wanting to do that. and that you thought it was a horrible idea, and that you were really not okay with it. And I was like, who the fuck is this asshole? We met, what, a month ago? And
I think it was like 2 weeks.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, I was quite taken aback.
I think I told you it's not just your body anymore.
Right. I was felt horribly betrayed, and that I couldn't believe that you would react this way, and that, you know,
Skamba kaip dalykas, kurį tas Mr. Gal pasakytų. Po 2 savaičių pana jam pasako, ir it's not your body anymore. Skamba kaip dalykas. Biblijau, kaip aš negirdžiu žmonių, kuriem užklausė, kodėl taip yra, could you explain, nes aš nesprantu ir neargumentuoja į banslapas. Okay. Arba tu blogai paklausai, bet jo, dažnai taip žmonės daro, by the way.
That I couldn't believe that I had trusted and and confided in you this information.
You acted like you told me that you were gay, and that I told you it was disgusting.
Yes. That is how it felt.
I think I told you hate women, and I think you hate being a woman. And then when you told me you wanted me to call you Shay, I was like, I'm not going to facilitate your self-hating misogyny. I don't want to be part of it. If you want to call yourself a boy, you can call yourself whatever the fuck you want. But I'm not going to, because you're a woman.
As enraged as I felt about you saying such a thing, there was also a part of me that felt like the hurt part of myself. That
Jeigu praleidai, aš dabar tau introductioną nepravesiu iš naujo, ką žiūriu seniai, tipo, atskirai tau asmeniškai. Papasakoju prieš video. Biškiuką bent.
resonated with it, felt strong enough that I couldn't just dismiss what you had said as like a controlling arrogance or something. So
That you wanted to escape your female body because you hate being female.
it's not that it had never occurred to me, but in that direct of terms, I had not considered that that was where some of this was coming from.
Yeah, it's usually couched in like, I don't feel right, or I don't feel like myself. Rather than like, I hate being a woman, and I hate my breasts, and I hate my vagina, and I hate my, everything.
The narrative of like, I don't fit felt so strong.
She's fucking crying, okay.
And like, it was obvious, like, I didn't feel like a man, and I never, okay, maybe not never, but I didn't feel like I wanted to be fully trans or be a man, but there were obvious moments to me where I've looked in the mirror and thought, like, I don't feel feminine, or this feels wrong, and all this makeup feels wrong, and I feel like whatever this facade is this costume that I'm wearing is not me. Trying to define who I am, or my own self-worth by these like restrictive labels of what somebody else or even who I have decided is needed in order to be a woman, or even just deciding that being a woman means I can't have bad feelings about being a woman because I'm a feminist or whatever, was like too restricting to me. it just felt like I couldn't exist within that.
How do you feel about this being public?
I feel bad. I feel I feel like people will look at this story and either believe that I hate trans people and am applying my experience to all of them, or that you are, as your previous interviewee said, abusive and gaslighting, and that I am just brainwashed and don't understand my own experience.
That you're a boy being tricked into living as a girl?
Yeah. And it's very alienating to feel.
Tas turbūt yra labiausiai toksiškas gal dalykas iš visos tos trans bendruomenės online, kad tipo jie priskirs tau, kas tu esi iš tikro. Nu, tipo, jeigu... O, pažinu, jų pavyzdį, nepaimsim, o ta pana. Gal tai nėra 100%, nu, turi kažkokių klausimų, gal jie nepatinka ten kažkas, gal nori biškai labiau atrodyti androgenus, kaip pasakė. Bet jeigu jin to nedaro, jeigu ten negeria tų hormonų blokerių iš karto, testosterono pilna ir panašiai, jeigu pilnai nekomitina tam, tai tada va tie aktyvistai priskiria maždaug, ai, tai tu čia tiesiog bėgi nuo to, kad esi berniukas, tave gaslightina tavo draugas, tu tiesiog, arba iš viso tu nekenti va trans žmonių, dėl to netransitionini, jie padaro iš viso, nu, tokį spaudimą ir jie už tave nusprendžia, tipo, koks tu turi būti ir ar tu turi ten transitioninti ir panašiai. Ten yra worst community fucking ever.
Feel like there are.
Ten grinai yra tie žmonės, vat, kurie jeigu turės vaikų ir vaikas bus berniukas ir norės žaisti su lėlė, iš karto nueis pas daktarą, sakys, mano vaikas yra trans, išrašykit jam hormonų blokerius ir viską. Jeigu daktaras sakys, ne, čia, nu, reikia palaukti, tyrimų padaryti, jie nueis pas kitą daktarą, kol jie gaus, nu, tą išrašymą tipo. Ir ten 8 metų vaikui ten jau tą transitioną pradės daryti. Čia vat grinai vat tokie žmonės, kurie taip elgės, bet jaiks tiesiog. Anyway, gerai, žiūrėt toliau.
Multiple people I can think of who are who identify as trans or non-binary, who I care about their well-being, and I feel as if by me talking about my experience, I am personally committing violence against them.
Which you, in turn, feel violated by. I think that's part of what makes this all so difficult to talk about, is that there isn't really a way to talk about it that doesn't feel violating to one or both parties if there's any disagreement about how gender works.
Right.
I just had this memory of the first time I heard the phrase gender is a social construct. I was 13 and I was in my mother's dining room. And I don't even remember why she brought it up. I think she might have just said it out of the blue, but she just had this like sadistic smile and said gender is a social construct. And I said, I don't want to talk about this. And I don't agree with you, even though I immediately did agree with her. But I was creeped out by how she was saying it. And then she just kept saying, gender is a social construct. Gender is a social construct.
How weird is that? Tavo mama taip pasakė? What the fuck? Gal
Like
ne
getting
veltui ir
off
jisai
on
toks
the
weird.
discomfort it was causing me. Because she didn't want me to be a boy.
Okay.
She didn't want me to be a man. She didn't like who I was turning into. And that was very obvious. And it felt like that was the reason she was saying it. And the reason she was enjoying saying it. And she just liked saying creepy, confusing things about sexuality and gender when I was 13.
Okay, ir tada aiškėja, kodėl jis toks užaugo fucking weird.
That's part of
Tėvai
why this
tokie.
is all so violating for me. There is an invasiveness to being told that I have to think about my penis as a removable, unimportant, non-identifying appendage that can be just as easily recreated by a surgeon or replaced with a strap-on. And that what makes me a man is just that I think I'm a man. So yeah.
Ok, nu šita mintis yra įdomi mintis ir labai teisinga. Ir aktyvistai 100% laikytų transfobik. Bet mintis įdomi. Tai toks gaunas apsukimas. Jeigu... Grinai apsukimas gaunas į tų transaktyvistų pusę. Jeigu tu sakai, kad jeigu žmogus nepalaiko trans ir tipo, nu, sako, kad trans nėra ten tikra, arba tai ten in your head, ar ten kažkoks psichologinė liga, tai jau automatiškai tipo transfobik jų akyse. Bet ką jis čia padarė, tai kaip ir apsuko tą naratyvą ant jų. Sako, yra invasive, kai tie aktyvistai man sako, nu ir paskui jeigu tie aktyvistai žmogaus klausia, nu kas tai yra vyras, kas yra moteris, tai tu negali sakyti, kad lytinis organas tą nulėmė. Tai tipo, tai ką jis čia padarė, apsuko tą, kad yra labai invasive sakyti, kad kaip jis išsireiškia, mano penis ar panašiai, nėra joks identifikatorius ir kad vienintelis dalykas, kas padaro, nu, jį vyru, tai kad jis galvoja, kad jis vyras. Nes jo, tu realiai nuėmi identifikatorių vieną pagrindinių, pagal ką ir nusprendžia tikrai. Mintis yra tikrai įdomi, kaip jis sudėliojo tą, kai klausau.
Yeah, I mean, I took it the same way, like, if when we started dating, you said you were going to cut one of your fingers off. Like, you can't...
I think you said that.
Yeah. I'm like, that's my body now. That's mine. You can't just do whatever you want with it. That's literally what dating is.
I just think that I was / potentially still am.
Aš suprantu, man atrodo, ką aš noriu pasakyti, nu, tipo, kai tu deitini, tu dalinies su žmogum, nu, ir savo kūnu, bet toks pasakymas, kad tavo kūnas dabar jau man, nu, kaip ir mano kūnas, tipo, patampa panai savo. Nu, I get it. Įdomu, kokia pozicija tada būtų, nežinau, pozicijos apie abortus, nes ten my body, my choice, nu, bet tada ne tavo jau body, nes čia tada ir jo body patampa, tai jis tada turėtų būti, kad jis turi tiek pat, jis stūmė mane, blėt. Blėt, weird.
Addicted to using physical changes as a way of running away or escaping things in my life.
Like tattoos?
Yeah, tattoos, hair.
Okay, iš naujo.
Was / potentially still am addicted to using physical changes as a way of running away or escaping things in my life.
Like tattoos?
Yeah, tattoos, hair, makeup.
Piercings?
Piercings. When I was thinking about taking testosterone, it was to get myself out of a box. And but trying to just destroy the box seems like a better idea than to physically put my health at risk.
Okay, but some trans people are very convincing. They're like, yeah, there's people like that. I'm just trans. You're like, I've always known I was trans. I don't want to bother anybody. I don't want a bunch of attention. I'm just trans, and that's just how it is. Do you believe those people are still just being avoidant? Does transness exist in the way that people talk about it ever?
Well, I can't speak to the science of it, but
I'm not asking you about the science. I'm asking you what you believe.
I don't think so. I think it is avoidant. And I think that medical intervention because you're trans is the same as any other kind of plastic surgery. I don't think it is morally or like emotionally more valid or something. It's just the same, and I don't agree with people getting plastic surgery. I think it's emotionally bad for people.
Do you think getting tattoos is emotionally bad for people?
Hey, please, no.
Dipshit.
Kind of, yeah. I think all of my tattoos were a result of me being avoidant.
Piercings?
Yeah.
So the piercings...
Impulsive or avoidant, yeah.
Well, let's talk about the piercings for a second. You have a spiky nose ring that we've...
Aš tiek noriu paminėti, kiek aš čia gaunu komandų, kurios jau vėl visi išmirė ir dabar Enrage'nės bosas mums reikia dylinti 2 su šitais sadais. Aš net nežinau, ar mes turim čia. Šiandien tiesiog, aš nežinau, ryte, gal čia dėl to, kad yra ankstyvus gan rytas, nu tiesiog absolutely garbage žaidėjai. Jo, nei vieno ado neužmušė tas šiuvakas. Man čia reikia dylinti. Aš vienas gyvas likau, supratau.
Rarely ever spoken about. Do you... Because the nose ring is an active choice to still have.
I still have all my piercings.
Are you... can being avoidant on a continuing basis by continuing to keep it in?
I don't know.
Well, the answer is yes. But I'm asking what you think about that. It clearly is yes. It's not permanent, so you could just undo it, and you choose not to. So, can you talk more about that in a more honest way than you just tried to?
Yeah, I just don't want to. I don't want to give it up. It feels too
Okay, so you can't do shit.
upsetting.
Vienas kaip bosas Enrage'nės niekaip.
You're saying you don't want to as though someone's trying to convince you to. Do you think I'm trying to convince you to, or are you saying that part of you does want to because you think it's avoidant? Both.
Atsisuk su šitą
Permanent,
interakciją.
so you could just undo it, and you choose not to. Yes, but I'm asking what you think about that. It clearly is yes. It's not permanent, so you could just...
Koks klausimas buvo?
Is an active choice to still have.
I still have all my piercings.
Ai, apie piercingus, okay.
Are you... can being avoidant on a continuing basis by continuing to keep it in?
I don't know.
Well, the answer is yes, but I'm asking what you think about that. It clearly is yes. It's not permanent, so you could just undo it, and you choose not to. So, can you talk more about that in a more honest way than you just tried to?
Yeah, I just don't want to. I don't want to give it up. It feels too upsetting.
You're saying you don't want to as though someone's trying to convince you to. Do you think I'm trying to convince you to, or are you saying that part of you does want to because you think it's avoidant? Both.
Both.
Okay. Can you speak to the part of you, your own internal conflict?
I think that if I'm unable to live with my face without a bar through my nose, that speaks to some pretty upsetting levels of insecurity and an inability to accept myself.
Yes.
So,
But
I also
But you're
like
saying-
it, and I don't want to get rid of it.
Well, you're not saying you like it. You're saying you would hate not having it. You didn't say I like it too much. You said it's too upsetting to take it out.
Yeah.
Can you explain that?
I feel as if it takes away part of my personality.
Removing it or having it?
Removing it. I'm saying that I would have to face myself without hiding behind these walls that I put up to like show people what I'm like. I feel like all of this, all of the things that I used, my hair and my
It's like
makeup and
preferred pronouns. You're controlling how people see you.
yes.
You're afraid to let people make up their own minds
Yeah.
and see the real
Why?
disgusting you.
I don't think any of my relationships for the last 15 years have felt like my personality was a main reason why they were with me. It felt as if a large part of my personality was a costume. And reasons for people being around was the costume. And as validating as it may seem to have people commenting on these superficial things,
It's safer but emptier.
you're always invisible.
Do you think that you've adopted a new
Ok, ką jin čia pasakė tik. Per paskutinius 15 metų neturėjo draugo, partnerio, I guess, kuris, vertintų charakterį. Bet esmė, ji negalvoja taip, ji nežino, ji negalvoja taip, kad turėjo, ji taip antroji išsireiškia. Ji negalvoja, kad turėjo draugą, kad vertintų už charakterį, bet ji to nežino. Ir vien, kad jinai taip galvoja, užtenka paskui ateitį turėti tokį diskomfortą, kad tu tada turi keisti savo išvaizdą ir bėgti nuo to ir slėptis ir, I don't know, damage.
new costume
Labas,
with
Ramau.
me that is the costume of not wearing a costume? Or do you think that you are less costumed? Genuinely.
I think it's a costume of not wearing a costume.
Gerai, iš naujo.
For but emptier.
It's these. Yeah, you're always invisible.
Do you think that you've adopted a new costume with me that is the costume of not wearing a costume?
Bet šičia yra labai įdomus iš tikro line of thought. Kai jinai pasakė, kad apie tą, ką kalbėjo apie tą superficial išvaizdą ir kad dėl charakterio, jin galvoja, kad neturėjo draugo, kur būtų dėl charakterio jos ir panašiai, kad visi tie pasakymai ir komplimentai apie išvaizdą ir taip toliau, tai dėl to jinai išvaizdą keičia, kad bėgtų nuo problemų. Tą tokį kostiumą. Ir tada Mr. Girl responsas buvo, ar tu manai, kad dabar tu užsidėjai naują kostiumą, tokį, kad, kuris demonstruoja, kad tu, neturi kostiumą, bet it's still a costume. Kad tu elgiesi taip, tarsi žmogus, kuris, kaip įsivaizduoji žmogų be kostiumo, bet tai vis tiek nesi tu. Kaip tu žinotum tą... How would you know that you're in a dream, basically? You wouldn't. If it was so real, wouldn't. Čia kitaip, gal čia... Gal šitokį klausimą ir gali atsakyti gyvai, ar tu, gali atsakyti labai giliai savy pakapsęs, kaip tu iš tikrųjų ties, bet čia absurdiško lygio atvirumo reikia su savimi ir su kitais. Kad tokį klausimą atsakytum. Bet ta pana čia labai atvira ir šiaip buvo, man atrodo.
invisible.
It's safer. Do you think that you've adopted a new costume with me that is the costume of not wearing a costume? Or do you think that you are less costumed? Genuinely.
I think it's a costume of not wearing a costume.
So when you just throw on some sweats and you're like, oh, I didn't do anything today, that's still a costume. You want my approval of your costume.
Damn. Čia iš tikrųjų žiauriai deep mintis. Jesus. Vien šitas momentas minutės. Jos atsakymas, tada jo klausimas ir jos atsakymas. Čia yra labai daug layerių praeita. Bet visi žmonės taip elgiasi, aš net nežinau. Nu, didžioji dauguma. Jeez. This is brilliant. Actually, this is brilliant.
Or do you think that you are less costumed? Genuinely.
I think it's a costume of not wearing a costume.
So when you just throw on some sweats and you're like, oh, I didn't do anything today, that's still a costume. You want my approval of your costume.
Čia šitas klausimas ir atsakymas, šitą daro prielaidą, kad žmogus sąmoningai pasirenka, kaip čia pasakė, užsimesti, kad, tos treningus, treninginės kelnės arba sweats, taip vadinasi, atrodo. Kad tą padaro sąmoningai ir kad tai yra kostiumas ir pripažino tą. Kas yra turbūt labai dažnai pasitaikantis dalykas, bet tai reikalauja absurdiškai atviros introspekcijos į save ir kad tą pripažintum ir šis, kad tą suprastum. Žmonės to nedaro. Žmonės in general tiek daug introspekcijos, net ar teisingai vartoju žodį, į savo vidų nemasto tiek daug ir nesigilina. Paprastai bent jau. Jesus. Amazing.
You're so angry.
Yeah.
Why are you so angry?
Because I feel that a lot of the emotional challenges I have faced or hurdles I've had to jump have had to be scaled sooner than I was ready to because of our relationship.
Because I'm 10 years older than you?
Yes. And it feels as if you coming back to the nose ring again is you doing it.
Doing what?
Pushing for me to stop wearing the nose ring.
That's what he's doing, I think.
I think you're trying to get me to take my nose ring out because you don't like it or something, but...
Make you deal with it so you wouldn't want it.
I don't think I'm trying to get you to stop wearing your nose ring. I think I'm trying to get you to reconcile and admit on camera that you there are some things you just don't want to deal with, and your own face is one of them.
Yes.
I think it will make you more relatable as you sit on your high horse and say, yeah, trans people just shouldn't be trans. If you acknowledge that actually you still hate your body and you still can't even face your own face and don't want to look in the mirror.
Face your own face.
You could get your tattoos removed too if you wanted to.
I know. I don't want to.
Again, you're acting like I'm holding a tattoo removal gun and trying to suck your tattoos off of your body. So that's not That's not very honest of you to react that way. You're doing the trans thing. This is the exact thing you're just talking about. You're saying, hey, you're committing violence against me by talking about this and asking about this. You're trying to suck my tattoos out and rip out my nose ring. I'm asking you how you reconcile this with what you're saying.
I think part of what I'm reacting to is you not affording me as your girlfriend the same level of space or something to not talk about something if it's obvious that I am uncomfortable.
No, you fucking idiot. You could have just said you don't want to talk about it. But you didn't say that. You are trying to get me to say there's no reason to talk about it because it's not the same.
True, though.
You want me to detect that.
True, though. Blet, su Mr. Gal nenorėčiau šnekėt. Fuck that shit, man. Bet teisingai. Vienu lygiu giliau visą laiką nueina jis, bet teisingai. Jin tiesiog gali pasakyti, net gali atsisakyti nedaryti šitą video, bet jin daro šitą video. Bet jo, ir tada... nu, jo racionaliai šiam.
You are trying to get me to say there's no reason to talk about it because it's not the same. You want me to detect that you don't want to talk about the thing that you brought up.
You brought it up.
Okay, because you said clothing, hair, makeup, and tattoos. That I was supposed to intuit, oh, she doesn't want to talk about the big fucking spiky nose ring on her face. So I won't bring that up. It's a fucking interview. So then I ask you about it, and then instead of saying, hey, can we not go there? I don't feel safe talking about that. What do you think I would say? Too bad? You think I would take the camera off the tripod and shove it in your face? I can't make you talk about something. You could just set a boundary and say you don't want to talk about it. But instead, you want me to intuit the boundary and help you avoid talking about your nose ring in an interview about your own fucking problems with your body and how you handle them.
Yes.
That's controlling.
Okay. But yes, that is what I'm reacting to.
I understand that, but do you see how that puts the onus on me to tiptoe around you while pretending I'm not tiptoeing around you?
Yes.
Well, that's very triggering for me, and I don't want to do that.
I understand that.
So you have to set your own boundaries.
Okay.
I don't want that much control. And underneath that, I don't want you to have that much control over me. So why don't you stay on your fucking side?
It just feels like it's live or something, and that I'm undermining you.
By setting a boundary?
Mm-hmm.
No, you're undermining me by being fucking manipulative and controlling so that I react angrily. And so then when I have my counter power play, then it just looks like I am calling you an idiot and telling you that you have to talk a certain way for no fucking reason because I'm insane and that I'm angry for no reason. That's undermining me.
Okay.
Maybe if you knew how to say no, you wouldn't need a fucking spiky nose ring to protect you.
Okay. I would like to stop talking now.
Well, she's done.